today we're going to talk about a little game called World of Warcraft. You might have heard of it. I've been wanting to play this game for 19 years. When it first came out, I was 15 years old. I was working at a pizza place, and everyone at work was playing it. Everyone at school was playing it, and my computer couldn't run it. But that didn't stop me from getting really excited for this game. I remember looking up guides and different ways to build characters in the skill tree. I had my whole character planned out for that day when I finally would be able to play World of Warcraft. But unfortunately, or fortunately, that day just never came. I ended up mostly gaming on PlayStation, and I was never able to afford a PC that could run World of Warcraft. That is until over a decade later when the game had already fallen from its peak in popularity, and I just wasn't as interested anymore. So what made me pick up the game in 2023? Well, one of my good friends who played the game when it first came out asked me if I would play it with him. I was a little bit hesitant because Baldur's Gate just came out. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. Starfield comes out next week. So naturally I said, sure, yeah, let's play another game that might completely take over my life. Most of you probably already know that I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy as a series, and I started playing Final Fantasy 14 earlier this year. I have nearly 400 hours in Final Fantasy. I've been streaming the game. I'm almost to Shadowbringers, where everyone's told me this is where the story starts getting really, really good. The game gets amazing from here on out. But I have to be honest, and I've already said this a bunch on the channel, I've been a little bit disappointed in Final Fantasy. I mean, there's been a honeymoon phase where I absolutely loved the game. I've had a great time, lots of highs in the story and just with playing with people in the community. But overall, I have a lot of criticisms towards Final Fantasy 14, and I feel like it hasn't quite lived up to my expectations. But one key piece of context that I think I'm missing regarding Final Fantasy 14 is that a lot of people played World of Warcraft before Final Fantasy 14. And there was this progression where they came from World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy 14, and there was all of these just differences and improvements that they really latched on to. And a lot of those things seem to really mean a lot to people. They mentioned things about how the voice acting is better, the story is better, the questing is better. But for me, never having played World of Warcraft, I don't really get that context because I've always just compared Final Fantasy 14 to the other Final Fantasy games. Now, I know a lot of people think that's an unfair thing to do, but like I said, I've never played an MMO before, unless Torn City counts. So the only context that I have to compare Final Fantasy 14 with are the other Final Fantasy games. My favorite being Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake. And I just don't feel that Final Fantasy 14 lives up to those older Final Fantasies. But that's a topic for another video. In this video, I wanted to give you my first impressions of World of Warcraft and compare it to Final Fantasy 14 to talk about the things that I noticed, the things I like, and the things that maybe I don't like so much. So first off, let me tell you about my experience with the first 10 hours or so with World of Warcraft. I'm only 10 hours in to a game that some people probably have spent 10,000, 20,000 hours in. So yeah, I obviously don't have a huge range of experiences yet, but here we go. When starting World of Warcraft, I realized that a lot of my preconceived notions for an MMO when I was going into Final Fantasy XIV came from World of Warcraft. Specifically, starting with one character that is one race and one class. In Final Fantasy XIV, it was odd to me that you got to pick a character that could be every single class, that can be from any of the regions. At the time, I said, hey, you know, this is actually pretty cool. I like this quality of life thing, but I was expecting to have to make that decision in rolling my character. And that's what I had to do in World of Warcraft. And I'll be honest, I like doing that. It just feels like your choices matter. It just feels like you're rolling a character, you're thinking about it. There's just something fun about making those choices for me. Now, I can understand people doing that and then going to Final Fantasy XIV and then just saying, hey, this is so much better that we don't get stuck with one character the whole entire time. When I want to try something out, I don't want to have to create an alt. I want to be able to just do it with my character, and it's as easy as that. I can understand that, but just my preferences, how I play games, I really like choosing your character, choosing your race, your skills, your starting location. I like making those choices. The second thing that I noticed is that I totally understand why Final Fantasy XIV was such a big upgrade when it came to quests. The quests in World of Warcraft are just absolutely boring and just like total fetch quest stuff. You know, I was complaining a lot about that with Final Fantasy 14, and World of Warcraft is like 10 times worse. I'm pretty sure 100% of the quests that I've done are just fetch quests or kill 8 monsters or collect 8 items from a monster, and they don't always drop, so you're gonna have to probably kill 10 or 15 of those monsters to get those items, and if you're with somebody else, they might take them and you gotta kill more like 20 or 30 to get everything you need. Yeah, I mean, let's not mince words. These quests are totally garbage. They suck. But this is pretty much what I expected from a 19-year-old MMO. I also feel like the game doesn't hold your hand in the same way that Final Fantasy does, and I wouldn't say this is a good or a bad thing. I think this is more of a result from World of Warcraft being a 19-year-old game, and Final Fantasy 14 having much better UI and just a bigger focus on quality of life features. When you click on your current quest, it'll just pull up a mini-map and show you exactly where to go. In World of Warcraft, sometimes I don't know where to go. I have to read the log and try to figure out where I'm supposed to go for this quest, and that can be annoying, especially when the quest isn't a part of some interesting, intricate story and it's just some simple fetch quest. I have to be honest, in some ways, it's kind of refreshing to me when a game makes you figure things out on your own rather than just holding your hand with mini maps and icons on the screen. I think in a lot of ways Final Fantasy 14 is objectively better. Like on paper, it's better that the game shows you where to go and doesn't waste as much of your time as World of Warcraft, but there's just something about World of Warcraft and about figuring it out on my own that makes me a little bit more engaged with it. And that goes for the combat as well. Oh man, I don't mean to just, I've played this game for 10 hours. I'm not saying World of Warcraft is better than Final Fantasy 14. Remember, this is just my initial impression. So I've just been running around fighting just the most basic enemies you could fight, but there's been a few times where I've been outmatched a bit, I've had to run away, and I've actually already died in the first 10 hours. I know, I suck at the game. Please let me know in the comments how much I suck. But for me, this is exciting. This was fun. I was trying to fight enemies that were a little bit higher than my level just to kind of see how far I could go, you know, if I could punch above my weight class, and I was able to sometimes, but then sometimes I got in trouble, and that's when I ended up dying. I just love this. I love that the game doesn't have guardrails. I didn't die in Final Fantasy 14 for like the first almost 50-60 hours of the game. Again, it's that time-saving thing. Final Fantasy 14 is tuned for the lowest common denominator when it comes to difficulty in the MSQ. Final Fantasy 14, of course, has extremely hard raids. It's no joke, but the MSQ, like I've said a billion times on this channel, is painfully easy. And because of that, I'm usually so unengaged with what I'm doing that it's just not very fun. And I know that I've just scratched the surface with World of Warcraft, and admittedly it feels absolutely janky, but for some reason it feels good. I think part of that as well is the fact that you level up not just your level, but you can increase your defense, you can increase your damage with a knife or your damage with an axe or all of these different things based on the amount that you've used them. So it's kind of like in Oblivion, the more you would use a weapon or you would do a certain action, the more you would level it up. Now I know this is a trick and it's trying to trigger something in my brain to make me want to progress simple monotonous tasks like fighting simple enemies over and over again so I can level up my axe skill or something. But I have to say, it works. It's working on me. And I don't know that this is necessarily a great thing because I'm on hour 10. Let me get back to you on that once I'm at hour maybe, I don't know, 50, 100, 200. I don't think these extremely grindy tasks are gonna have anywhere near the same appeal after I've done them a billion times, but for right now, it has me excited, it has me want to go out there and just do a bunch of stuff because I know it's improving my character. I don't know that I should like that, but I like that because it makes me feel like I'm being rewarded for playing the game in a way that I really did not feel like I was in Final Fantasy. In Final Fantasy, the gear never really seemed to matter. You couldn't really level up any of your abilities or even choose your abilities. Every class is just kind of preset, pre-selected for you, and you get more than capable essential equipment during the MSQ that you really never have to worry about that. And I think for me, I'm learning that something that I really enjoy in games is just building a character, getting better gear, increasing my stats, and making a unique character that has reflected the amount of time and energy that I've put into it. All right, so let's talk about the community aspect of Final Fantasy, because I feel like for MMOs, this is the most important thing. World of Warcraft has a really bad rap, but in my experience, I just have played with my one friend, and he's a great friend, and we have fun playing. What the frick, dude? I feel like this is something that maybe I need to check back in with, a little bit later, but the community, it is what you make of it. And so far, I've been playing with a friend who is just trying to capture that essence, a little bit of that feeling that he had when he first played the game. And that's what I want to do. So we both want to play. We both want to get on there. We're having fun doing that. And if you're doing that, it doesn't really matter what game you're playing. If you're playing with other people that are just 100% in, that are having a good time and want to play with you, then you're gonna have a good time. Final Fantasy XIV is also well known for having a really open and welcoming community. I've experienced that. I still chat with some of the people that I've met on Final Fantasy XIV. I still play Final Fantasy XIV, and I think the community is great there. I can't really give you any kind of hot takes on which one's better or worse. A lot of the people that I play with on Final Fantasy XIV also have played WoW or still play WoW. So I think at this point, it's really up to you to just find people that you want to associate with, that you jive with. And if you're doing that, you're having a good time. It doesn't matter if you're in World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV. So yeah, that was kind of a long review. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I've been having a good time, but like I said, there's so many games out. There's Baldur's Gate, there's Starfield coming out next week, Cyberpunk DLC, and I'm really excited to be playing all of those. So I don't know how much I'm gonna play World of Warcraft. It might just be something I play with my friend every week or so and just get on, chat, and hang out and do some grinding. So I don't know how long I'll actually be playing World of Warcraft, but I'm glad I'm checking it out. I'm having a good time, and if I do end up playing it a lot more, I will do some more check-in videos, let you guys know if there's anything that comes up that I feel is worth talking about. So with all that being said, thank you again so much for watching the video. Please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. What are your experiences with both of these games, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy? I would love to hear about it. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.